deal will bring war. It will spark a nuclear arms race in the region, and it would feed Iran's terrorism and aggression. That would make war, perhaps the most horrific war of all, far more likely.
All right, that might be what the leader of Israel is saying, but the leader of the United States, President Barack Obama, just a short time ago in Washington at American University, the same venue John F. Kennedy used to strike a deal with the then Soviet Union to rein in nuclear arms, is saying just the opposite. No deal would be worse than this deal and would actually lead to war, not the opposite. We have former Bush 43 Defense Secretary, Assistant Secretary, I should say, Peter Brookes with us right now. He agrees with the Israeli leader on this one. Why?
Well, I think there's going to be a cascading problem in the Middle East. There's going to be an arms race that's going to go on at the conventional level. I mean, even the president has talked about how he's going to have to shore up the supports of the Gulf, the GCC states. Secretary Kerry was just there. It's likely you're going to see countries like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, move forward with nuclear programs. Iran's going to get a release of significant amount of sanctioned money that's frozen that will allow them to continue to support Hezbollah, continue to support Hamas, the Syrian regime, and perhaps even what they're doing in Yemen. So I think there's a lot of problems here. None of us can predict the future, but I think that the argument that this is going to make things more dangerous has merit.
You know, the one thing I didn't understand, Peter, maybe you can help me with this. When the president made his remarks, and I was getting in the bulletins of the flashes, so I apologize, I might have interpreted it incorrectly. He made this thing that those against this, they're only going to hurt U.S. business interests because sanctions that they would call for would hurt U.S. business. And I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, we have no business with Iran, or shouldn't, and haven't for decades. So how can you hurt what is not there?
I think he's talking more about the global economy. In other words, not just the United States, but our partners. He made the case, and I'm not sure I agree with it, but he made the case, if I recall correctly, that many countries had stopped buying Iranian oil. It had cost them billions and billions of dollars by not doing trade with Iran. So his view was that if we don't do something about Iran, and through this weak deal, I think that's one of the problems is the president said we have a deal, but we have a weak deal. He doesn't want to admit that.
But he still says whatever you call it, weak or not,
and affect the United States.
I understand, my friend, but he says weak or not, it's better than no deal. And that's the argument he's been using. What do you make of that?
Right. I don't think that's the case. I mean, I think the other option certainly is, and I think you'll even hear administration people will say this. They'll come as close to the president's argument as they can. But if you ask them candidly, we could have continued with the sanctions regime. The president said that wasn't sustainable. Yeah. I'm not so sure that if you cut off Iran from the American banking system, and you say anybody who does business with Iran can't have access to the American banking system, it's going to hurt them significantly. And what you could have done is continued to put the pressure on Iran to get a better deal in a place like Vienna instead of the weak deal that we've gotten. We've gotten a deal, it's a weak deal, and that's what everybody's concerned about, and that's something the president won't admit, that it's a weak deal and we could have gotten a better deal.
All right, we'll watch very closely, Peter, because despite your very lucid argument, I think that it's going to go the president's way. He's going to survive all of this and get this thing passed. That does not mean that Congress still rejects it, just not by the margin that could override a veto. We shall see.
Should be an interesting month.
You got it, my friend Peter Brookes. All right.